so hot.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so we have an issue with the car. Not like that's something surprising. So I bought something online which I'm going to put in the car today, which is going to be pretty sick. I'm so keen for it. But meanwhile, another issue arose yesterday with the car. So the oil filter housing gasket I replaced not too long ago, and it's such a common issue with these things, and it's leaking again. And I have a drift day, or just like I have like a not a track day, but like a drift day next weekend. So I need it good. So yeah, now it turned into a big job when it was just gonna be a small job. So I'm not keen. Alright guys, so we just arrived at BMW in the valley. So we have the two gaskets, and I got spare bolts for the front of the like the heat cooler. So get this fixed. So today we're fixing the oil filter housing gasket. So the oil filter housing gasket I replaced not too long ago, and the one at the front here, which is leaking, and you won't be able to see it, but there's oil over a lot of stuff in here right now. And I've also got over there's a VRSF race intercooler. So she's going to be going in today to help keep the intake air temperatures down, because it's really hot here in Australia. It's going to be a bit of a job, and the car's really hot right now, so I'm not too keen to do it.
Yeah.
But I may as well do an oil change right now as well. So first we're going to take this bumper off. Okay, don't do that, guys. You know, it'd be sick if you just gave it to a shop.
Well, why don't you?
Because shops are expensive. Alright guys, so when taking the front bumper off, you got to take off all these screws on the bottom, and then I think there's some screws in the wheel well, and then that will release the top of the bumper, or the sides of the bumper, and then there's screws up the top on near the engine bay. So after that, it should all come off. Be careful of the headlight washers, as they have to be disconnected. So to completely take the front bumper off, you actually have to take off these screws in the wheel arch. It's just 3 screws. So there's just 2, one that goes onto here, and then the top bit of the bumper screws into there. So I had to reverse it down, turn the wheels so I could get in there, just because I didn't want to take the wheels off, and it's up on stand. So with the front bumper off now, I'm going to drive it back up so that we can get under and access that intercooler. But she's going to look crazy once that intercooler's in. So that's what she looks like without the front bumper. She's back up on the ramps so we can access the intercooler. So as you guys can see, she's leaking oil in there, which is coming from gasket on the oil filter housing, that one. I have taken out the intercooler out of the bottom there, and yeah, so she's currently looking like this. So I got to try and cut that and fit the intercooler in by cutting all of that out. I've done quite a bit which I haven't included in the tutorial / vlog, but I've now removed the upper, I removed the lower charge pipe now. So this one connects to the charge pipe. So the VRSF sent me out an aftermarket one, so it's just like the VRSF charge pipe, but just the lower charge pipe, so that'll connect onto the intercooler. Since the last part I filmed, I have drained the oil out of the engine, pulled the front of that off, and cleaned it all out, cleaned the parts, cleaned all the screws. So it's got no oil in it at the moment. You can see those oil lines are just sitting up there. They're empty as well. And yeah, so there's no need for this anymore. I've also pulled this is the VRSF 7.5 inch steps race intercooler. So I pulled that out and just cleaned out the insides of it, because I had a little bit of grey dust inside there, probably from the machining and in the factory. But that's all cleaned up now, so now I've got to try and fit it to the car. So looks like we did a little bit of cutting to fit her, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. If you want a fast street car that's modified, prepare to put some work into it. See, this stuff, nothing has broken on it. Well, nothing has broke on the car. It's just the fact that you got to do upgrades, and then you got to service things regularly to keep those parts, I guess, running well, and the car running at an optimal, I guess, level. But I still need to change those angel eye bulbs, because they're dim. One's super bright. It never ends with this car. Never ends. Like you just got to accept the fact that this is what you got to deal with. This is your like a little kid. Like, you know, if you have like a kid, you can't just like abandon it. Like, you got to be like, all right, I've committed to this. I got to carry through. It's a bit like that. But I mean, if it really gets to me, I can get rid of it, so it makes it a bit better. We've got the intercooler out, and we put the hose connections on each end. So that should connect to the new VRFS charge pipe. We just put in the lower charge pipe. So it's day 2 of installing the intercooler, and yeah, it's been a pretty big job. I thought it would take a bit of a shorter time frame to get the job done, but it has taken a while for us to install this. So we've used the Dremel, and we have cut from here all the way up to there. We've cut that whole section out. Like, there's a heap. Like, it's all of this plastic here, but that's the piece that I pulled off the car. And what we also changed was that lower charge pipe that connects to the intercooler. VRFS gave us one, so that's in there now, as you can see, that nice metal one. This piece here was actually connected like this towards the right side of the car. And I got a Dremel and cut off the metal band that went around here and then pulled it off. And now what I've gone and done, installed the VRFS silicon coupling. So we've been trying to fit the intercooler in, and it's been a pain, a massive pain. So we have cut everything all the way up to the top there, even cut off that, just to see if it can fit. If you were fitting one of these intercoolers, the 7.5 inch stepped race intercooler, be prepared to cut all the plastic out. This is what it looks like with the intercooler installed on the N55 135i. So we actually had to. So this is how it's set up. The tube for the headlight washers, we've just run it across the top of the intercooler, and that plastic at the back there, we had to kind of cut that flush back to this bit here, and then I removed all of that up there and made it flush. So she's very, very big and she's tight in there. So the only issue is this temp sensor here, which was hanging in the part that we cut off. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drill a hole through here, just a small hole, so I can put a zip tie around the middle bit in here. Then that'll just sit in there like that. So that'll just be a little spot to hold that, because I don't really want it moving around in there. So a lot of people leave it, I think, but I don't want anything to be loose, and I don't want to hear anything moving around. So this is how it's set up. It's pretty tight, and
pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy too. So what I've done is, so that side's been tightened up with just a 10mm banner, and then these screws here, what I did was, so it came with the screw in a bit of like a rubber stop. So I put the rubber in between the intercooler and I guess the plastic that you screw into, and then the screw goes through the intercooler and the rubber into the hole. So it's pretty tight on both sides. Over here I just got to tighten up this one, so once that's tight, the intercooler will be done. And I just have to put the gasket back on the oil filter housing, pull all that back together, put all the covers back on, fill her up with oil, and then she should be good.
Take it for a test run.
Take it for a drive. I was looking forward to driving it, because today was a 34, apparently it was like 33, 34 degrees today, so I was kind of looking forward to like driving her in the middle of the day, because then I would have been able to really test how well she would do a pull after, I guess, a few third gear pulls. So I've done up all the connections, given her a clean, so she's looking super shiny. It's probably the cleanest thing on my car right now. Look how shiny it is. I installed this side of the oil filter housing back on, put the gasket on. So the oil drain plug and the oil filter were torqued to 25 Newton meters, and these 3 to 22 Newton meters. So that's the spec. Now I just gotta connect this line back up to here with the screw, then fill it with oil, and then it's all just a matter of putting all the covers back on. Just another update. So that's all together now. I've attached all those hoses back together, screwed that up, and the only issue was that temperature sensor that we had here. So what I've done is drill a hole through that piece of plastic right there, as you can see, and I just literally just put the temperature sensor there and zip tied it. So that's just got a zip tie around that temp sensor, so that's just hanging there in its own little area. And now we're good to put the bumpers back on. Alright guys, so she's off the hoist now. You can see the new intercooler in there. I guess that's the main point of this video, is installing the VRSF intercooler, which is in. It looks good, but yeah, it is a tight fit. I hope you guys enjoyed the little tutorial, but I didn't film everything because it was, yeah, I guess I needed to get it done. But hope you guys liked the video, like and subscribe, and yeah, and follow me for, I guess, more stuff, 135i, and the odd fitness thing. But yeah, trying to get back into fitness, see how it goes. See you guys.